Check. We're live. We're hot. Okay. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Who Gives a Dram. Appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it's on audio or on video, or if you're watching with subtitles on YouTube with the sound turned off, and just reading the captions. So if you're doing that, then what's up? Thanks for checking out the YouTube videos. But we're here this week, you guys. We got a good episode here. Good bourbon to drink, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk about the week, and we're gonna drink whiskey, and we're gonna talk about life. And who knows? Maybe you'll learn a thing or two. Probably not, but I've been going through a phase where I try to learn something new every day. And you would think instinctively that you know how to, you know how to learn. You know that you learn something new every day. But if you think about it, it's like you might learn something, but it's nothing that stays with you. So I'm trying to learn something that stays with me every single day. For example, today I learned that, what did I learn today? Today I learned that peanut butter and fluff is the most famous sandwich in the state or in the country of Bosnia. I learned that today. That's a fact. Don't bother Googling it because I know it's a fact. Shout out to all my Australian peeps getting those downs down there. That's not a good way to shorten downloads. Getting the downloads down there. What's popping down under? Yeah, man. I wasn't too sure how to start this show. We're just gonna get right into it. We're just gonna jump right in, I guess. I'm not even gonna. You already know where to follow me and how to download and stuff. I'm getting sick and tired of saying that. I'm getting sick and tired of saying, "Oh, follow me on Who Gives a Dram and check me out here." If you want to download them, then download them. If you don't, then don't. You know, it is what it is at this point. If we haven't hooked you yet, then not gonna. This is my first episode where I'm 26 years old. Small round of applause for me. I made it to the year where I am no longer on my parents' benefits, which is scary. It's very scary. So the night before I turned 26, the night before I turned 26, on the 26th of September, released the podcast earlier in the day, and I was nervous, man. I was nervous. I had a panic attack almost of. I had like a panic attack of like getting old. So I was just thinking like, dude, I remember graduating high school and I was 17 years old and I thought I was old then. Like, I couldn't believe I was out of high school. And I remember in middle school thinking it was the coolest thing in the world to walk around with a trumpet case for band class. I remember being in, like, 5th and 6th grade and looking up at, like, the 7th and 8th grader. Or, no, I remember, like, going to middle school orientation. So, even in 5th grade, you have an instrument. But I remember being in, like, orientation and, like, seeing the kids walk around with, like, black cases with their instruments in them. And I was like, wow, those kids are just crushing it. Those kids are crushing it. If you're 10 or whatever age you are in 4th grade, if you're 8 years old and you see someone walking around with a tenor saxophone, they're the coolest person in the room, and it's not close. So that's how I thought in that time. I thought, okay, I'm going to be walking around with my trumpet. And I was a good trumpet player, by the way. I was good. I was so good at trumpet that my band teacher, Mr. Hilby, Shout out to Mr. Hilby. You know, hindsight 2020, one of the coolest teachers I ever had. Very cool guy. I think he had a son that played football or something like that. But anyways, I was so good at trumpet that Mr. Hilby promoted me to baritone horn. So that's how good I was. So my 8th grade year, think about this. My 8th grade year, and I don't want to brag, man. I'm not about bragging. I'm about having a good time, and I'm about chilling and, you know, just like drinking a little whiskey and like eating food and just chilling and maybe like eating to the point where like you feel a little bloated, but that's where the Metamucil comes in, and just chilling. That's what I like to do. I don't like to bloat or gloat or brag. But my 8th grade year, not only did I have a Justin Bieber haircut, right? Not only, you know, I started growing, so your boy starts getting just a tiny bit of muscle, right? Not only did I walk around with my baritone, not only did I walk around with my baritone horn case and was promoted from the trumpet to baritone horn, but I was also the captain of my undefeated middle school basketball team, ranked number 1 in the state. So you tell me who had a better 8th grade year, me or you. And I'm going to win that fight 10 times out of 10. It's been all downhill since then. It's been all downhill since then, bro. But we had a good 8th grade year. That's all that matters. But anyways, I don't remember why I started talking about that. Damn, bro. I don't remember why I started talking about that. I really don't. I don't remember. But that's what you get with this podcast. It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to stop and try to think about it. I'm just going to go right through it. And I'm just going to work off of what I have in my brain, which right at this very moment is not much. But if you haven't noticed by the title of the episode, or if you're watching on YouTube by the bottle that's sitting right to my left, camera right, we're drinking Russell's Reserve 13-year bourbon. Russell's Reserve 13-year bourbon is what we're drinking today. And this is what some people call in the biz a unicorn. There's two words in whiskey that I don't really like anymore. I don't like the word unicorn when describing a bottle. It just kind of sounds sexual, you know, like, hey, I'm going to go get that unicorn over there. It sounds like you're trying to fantasize about like getting another dude in with your wife or your girl. You know, I just don't like it. I don't like it. And I talked about this on Bourbon with Friends. I hate when people say they're going to hunt for whiskey. Are you on the show Survivor? You in Montana? You Jeremy Renner in Wind River? Don't say you're hunting for whiskey, all right? Don't say you're hunting for whiskey, because you're not. You're just going to go look for a bottle to buy and probably spend more money on it than you should. And I was one, and I still sometimes say hunt whiskey, but I'm doing my best. I joined a class, the Stop Saying Hunting Whiskey class, and I'm getting better at it. But I hate when people, it grinds my gears. Talk about grinds my gears so much. That grinds my gears. And another thing that grinds my gears as well, totally not whiskey related. Well, no, I don't see too many new whiskey podcasts being started. But all the time on Instagram, I see sponsored ads and sponsored posts for new podcasts being started. And that's great. That was me at one point, trying to get my name out there and get people to listen to me. And I've talked about this before on the podcast, like people who are trying to sell you something, like a course on podcasting, they're just going to take your money. But when I first started, this is like free advice. I knew I needed to get into a niche. And luckily, it came very quick, within seconds, knowing I wanted to talk about whiskey and review whiskey from a layman's perspective on it. And that's where Who Gives a Dram was born. And that's also where Bourbon with Friends was born. But I would not have started the podcast, especially by myself, if I didn't have a niche, because I'm not famous and I don't have a built-in audience. Now, I see so many podcasts being started, whether it's on TikTok or a sponsored post on Instagram or Twitter, and it's just a bunch of dudes getting together talking about stuff with no real merit behind it. And that just grinds my gears, because I don't really know exactly why. I just kind of get like, I suppose I see that and I'm like, dude, what are you, like, I just think it's dumb. Not to say that those guys aren't funny or witty or entertaining, but it's just like, no one's going to sit down to listen to you talk over an extended amount of time. There has to be some type of niche to it. There has to be some type of umbrella that you're under, not just talking about stuff. Your umbrella can't be talking about stuff or comedy. You know, you have to have some type of niche to make it in the podcast game. Now, because there are so many podcasts out there, there's a little bit of free advice for you guys. If you want to start your own podcast, have a niche. Have something that you're going to expand further in, and narrow it down as far as you can. I chose whiskey. I am also choosing MMA and movies and TV and stuff like that, more so now, but whiskey. And that just really grinds my gears, man. Really grinds my gears. Let's look at my notes for today, what we want to talk about before we get into the whiskey review. House of the Dragons. Yeah. House of the Dragons. Episode 7 just came out. Episode 7 came out Sunday. Today's Tuesday, so 2 days ago. 3 days ago, for those listening in Australia, down under. But shit's getting wild on House of the Dragon, and I would say this: I am Team Rhaenyra and Daemon till I die. I'm Team them. I think Alicent is a huge bitch, and their sons piss me off to look at them. I still ride with Viserys. Think he's cool. I hate Otto Hightower, the new hand. And Sir Criston is just so annoying as well. So, like, give me Rhaenyra, Daemon. I like the black guy, the king of the Valyrian. And then his wife, who's Targaryen. But it was cool. It was cool when the kid went and he didn't have a dragon, even though he was a Targaryen, and he forced himself upon, and I don't mean he raped the dragon. I mean he forced himself upon to ride the largest dragon, which is like Valyria or something, Vagar. I think his name is Vagar. And this young little blonde, probably no older than 10 years old, rides this huge dragon that is like probably at least 10 feet long. is way bigger than that. That was just me. That was just me making a jokey joke. But that scene was super cool. And I had someone tell me, I don't remember who said it, but they said that the CGI looks really bad in House of the Dragon, and I could not agree less. Like, if you rewatch some of the scenes of Daenerys riding her dragon in Game of Thrones, that's not the best CGI, but it still looks fine for what it is. House of the Dragon has some great CGI. These dragons look real AF. And when the Targaryens or the Valyrians are riding them, it looks real as well. So I don't agree with that take of the CGI in House of the Dragons is not good, because it's just wrong. And you're allowed to have a wrong opinion. It still doesn't make it right, but you're allowed to have a wrong opinion. But I'm all in on House of the Dragons. It's my favorite show at this very moment. Definitely one of the best shows of this year so far. It's way better than the Lord of the Rings show. It's infinite times better than She-Hulk. Anything is infinite better than She-Hulk. And I like it. I enjoy it, and I look forward to it every week. I turn off Sunday Night Football to watch House of the Dragon, and there's 3 more episodes. And from what I'm told, episodes 8, 9, and 10 are all pushed forward 10 years again. So we've already had a 10-year jump, and now we're doing another 10-year jump. And I don't know what's going to happen. I know in the books, Rhaenyra dies by getting eaten by a dragon. And I'm Team Rhaenyra. That's what I want to see that bitch win. I want to see. I'm rooting for her and Daemon to have incest. It's free. It's weird. It's probably illegal for me to think these things, but I think them when I watch the show. No shame in wanting to see some Targaryen on Targaryen incest on House of the Dragons. That's 2 sharp jawlines. Can you blame me? Anyways, someone's going to clip that, and I'm going to get canceled for saying I promote incest. But I do, and I stand by it. So yeah, bro, that's House of the Dragons. Looking forward to that every Sunday now. Update, fantasy football. I am currently 3-1 in my fantasy football league. And Jonathan Taylor scored me 3 points last week. So I'm going to trade Jonathan Taylor, I think. And here's what I want you guys to respond to me. If you listen to this podcast, if you're listening right now, shoot me a DM on Instagram and tell me what you think about this trade, and tell me whether I should do it or I should not do it. Jonathan Taylor, I trade Jonathan Taylor, and I receive Aaron Jones and DK Metcalf. Tell me if that is a good trade, because I want to make this happen before Thursday if possible. So by tomorrow, I need to know if this trade is going to go down or not. And the person in question that I'm trading with is my brother. So at the end of the day, I can force it to happen by giving him a purple nurple. But let me know what you think if I should do that trade or not. Anyways, and if I don't do it this week, maybe I'll do it next week. I don't know, because Jonathan Taylor is just not going to score me points. I'm very convinced that he is just going to be a bust this year. But I'm the worst 3-1 team in the league, that's for sure. Just like the Giants. The Giants are the worst 3-1 team in the NFL. I am the worst 3-1 team in my fantasy league. I might be the only 3-1. No, I'm facing Trevor this week, so that's another 3-1 team. And if I had 2 of my top 4 picks haven't been hurt all year, Keenan Allen and George Kittle, if they've been playing, then maybe I'd be a little bit better, and I'd have a higher average per game point. But I don't, because those guys have been hurt, and I've had to pay A.J. Dillon every week since week 1, and week 1 was A.J. Dillon's big week. But shout out to A.J. Dillon, because he's from New London, and that's where I'm from, kind of. So Shout out to A.J. Dillon, number 28 on the Packers. Same number as Corey Dillon used to be. Talking about hunting whiskey unicorns again. Hate that sentence. But a new release is coming out that I saw. Obviously, you got the Midwinter Night's Dram, right? I mean, that new release, Act 10, is coming out. I don't know. It's probably already out, if I had to guess. I haven't seen it yet. But I'm going to scoop it up. I'm going to scoop that up. That's one of the only whiskeys that I will go out of my way to buy. So I'm going to scoop up Midwinter Night's Dram this year. That'll be my third bottle. I have 2 bottles of Act 9 from last year. I will have at least 1 bottle of Act 10. And I finished my bottle of Act 8, which has been my favorite. Act 8 was better than Act 9 in my humble opinion. Honestly, if I had to search for other bottles, Russell's Reserve 13 would be up there, which is why I'm happy both myself and my brother have a bottle now, because I finished this last time I was in Kentucky at Paul's. No, 2 times ago, before the Bourbon Ball. The day before the Bourbon Ball, we killed a bottle of Russell's 13, and it was delicious. So that was fun. Some more whiskey news. The Van Winkle lineup for 2022 is out. Buffalo Trace has unveiled the 2022 Van Winkle lineup. More bottles of almost every new Van Winkle whiskey will be available this year compared to previous years. Why is that? Well, 10 years ago, Buffalo Trace put away more of these notoriously elusive whiskeys, and coincidentally, those same whiskeys had a higher yield than normal when being moved from barrel to bottle. That said, the likelihood of finding and purchasing a bottle and at the suggested retail price remains slim, as nationwide allocations certainly endure. This is on whiskeyadvocate.com, by the way. So let's look at how everything is stacking up. Ready? Here is, according to Whiskey Advocate, the price points and ABVs of every single Pappy in the antique collection this year, or the Pappy Van Winkle collection. So you have Old Rip Van Winkle Handmade Bourbon 10-year-old, 107 proof as always. That retails for $70, people, all right? Just remember that if you see it out there for $350 or $500, that's a $70 bottle. Van Winkle Special Reserve Bourbon 12-year is retailing for $80. And then the rye, the 13-year rye, which I heard is very good, is retailing for $120. That doesn't surprise me because the rye usually goes for a bit more. But then you have the 15-year-old bourbon retailing for $120. So Van Winkle rye and 13-year rye and 15-year bourbon are both priced retail the same thing. Pappy Van Winkle 20-year retails at $200, and Pappy Van Winkle 23-year retails at $300. So when you're out searching for these bottles, and if you see a deal, reference back to Who Gives a Dram. Remember the numbers I just said, and you should be good. As per usual, all 5 of the Van Winkle bourbons feature a wheated recipe, creating the longer aging and smoother, sweeter flavors, yada, yada, yada. This year also marks the 20th anniversary of the partnership between the Van Winkle family and Buffalo Trace. In 2002, the 2 entities agreed Buffalo Trace would produce, age, and bottle all of its whiskeys in order to carry on the family legacy. So this is the 20-year anniversary of that relationship starting. And I did hear, I think I saw it on Instagram or on Twitter, or maybe on Grindr, that the 15-year bourbon this year is especially good. That was a little caveat thrown into one of the articles I was reading, but yeah, that's obviously Pappy Van Winkle is one of those whiskeys that everyone searches for, and if I was offered Pappy Van Winkle at retail, any of the bottles, I'd take it, but just don't pay an arm and a leg, unless you can, unless you're a quadrillionaire. If you are, and you're listening to this, Venmo me, please. I'll fly out to you, and we'll do a live podcast. We'll do a 5-hour podcast. I don't give a shit if you're paying for it. I want to read some of these new these new releases as well in the whiskey world, because one of them is the new Master's Keep, and actually Kale brought this to my attention, and I researched it a little bit because I saw it at a store. The Wild Turkey Master's Keep Unforgotten, and I want to read exactly what it is. Wild Turkey's Master's Keep Unforgotten is a blend of bourbon and rye, 52.5% ABV at a retail price of $200, and it was released last month. I saw it for $300. I didn't buy it. Forgiven was the first blend of bourbon and rye released by Wild Turkey. Batch 1 in 2013 and a second batch in 2014. That bottling was said to be the result of an accident that occurred in 2010 when an aged bourbon was mixed with a young rye. This year's Master's Keep release, Unforgotten, pays homage to that blending mistake. This blend of 13-year-old bourbon and 8 and 9-year-old rye was finished in rye barrels and is non-chill filtered. Now, this is like just a dumb, very dumb concept for a $200 bottle. I can guarantee this is not a $200 whiskey, but it's cool. Master's Keep 1, the weeded variety last year, is fantastic. So if I was offered a bottle of this at $200 and like me and Kale went 50-50 on it or something, I'd probably buy it. But yeah. Then you have the Maker's Wood Finishing Series, which I'm not a big fan of anymore. I'm just not a big Maker's Mark guy. No offense to Maker's Mark. I'll still drink it, but yeah. If you haven't gone on to whiskeyadvocate.com and just looked at their new and you looked at their new releases articles, they come out like every week and they're great. I read through them all the time. One of them that I'm seeing is a very familiar bourbon to me, or rye whiskey to me, is the Sagamore Spirit Reserve Series Sherry Finished Rye Whiskey. The reason this is very familiar to me is because we had Brian Tracy on Bourbon with Friends that was just released today. So go check out that episode. And we drink the Sagamore Spirit Reserve Series Sherry Finish. And I have it right on the, there. I'm going to go get it. I have it right here. If you're watching on YouTube, there it is, the Sherry Finish. I got a little sample bottle of it. It's really good. I let Kale try some of it as well. And it's 53%, 106 proof, and we really enjoyed it. So go check that out on Bourbon with Friends. Good episode. Retail price at $80. Limited availability. But Sagamore is a great brand, so really cool things getting released. And this in fall again is the year that, or is the time of year that the whiskeys get released anyway. So expect a lot of releases coming up. I would like to find the Midwinter Nights Dram. See if I can find the new release of that on here, but I don't really feel like looking for it. All right. Well, should we get into the whiskey review? How long has it been? 28 minutes. Not bad. We're making good time. I was going to talk the Scotland trip, but I think I'm going to talk about that next week, because next week will be the last episode before I go to Scotland, and we'll have to catch up before that, and definitely after that. But let's get right into the review. Why don't we? Let's go right into Russell's Reserve 13-year, because this is what we call in the business a hitter, right? So this is a big boy. This is an age-stated 13-year-old bourbon, barrel proof. It's at 114.8 proof, 57.4% alcohol by volume. Distilled and bottled by the Wild Turkey Distilling Company in Lawrenceburg. Was first released last year, limited edition. People loved it. People hammered for it. So now they're making it a staple in their annual releases. It's always going to be limited, but it will be an annual release. So I'm happy I got some. Let's open this up. There we go. In the Glencairn. Just a little bit. Don't want to drink too much of this. Oh, I got some. Yeah, there we go. So Russell's Reserve 13, I have some information pulled up on it because I don't really know the reason behind it. I mean, Russell's Reserve is made to honor Eddie Russell, who's the master distiller of Wild Turkey. He's the infamous master distiller. I think he is. Or is that am I thinking of someone else? Am I thinking of Jimmy Russell? Yeah, Eddie Russell's the son. Must be the son. Jimmy Russell's the old guy who's always just chilling like an absolute gangster. But this is made, Russell's Reserve is made to honor Eddie Russell, the son. So you have Russell's Reserve 10-year. You have the Russell's Reserve private barrels. They do a lot more single barrels now. You have the Russell's Reserve rye, I think. I think they have a rye. And now you have this Russell Reserve 13-year, which is MSRP's for $100. I bought this for. I can actually tell you how much I paid for it right now. I have it in my text messages. I paid. Give me a sec. I paid $100, $110. I paid $110 for this bottle, which is like incredibly below MSRP. I mean, incredibly below secondary. This goes for triple that. So shout out to Ron. Like I said, it's 114.8 proof, 13-year-old. It is a mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley, retailing at $100 per bottle, suggested retail price. And let's just read what it says here. It is the one of the higher age Wild Turkey offerings. Oh, that's a good point, because Wild Turkey always releases their 13-year-old bourbon overseas, but it's not Russell's Reserve. Wild Turkey does a lot of overseas releases, which is the same with a lot of bourbon companies. Like Blanton's Gold is not prevalent in the United States, but it is prevalent in Europe. Blanton Straight from the Barrel, same thing. Blanton's Green Label is over in Europe, and we just kind of get the regular old Blanton's over here when you can find it. So again, this is meant to honor the legacy of Eddie Russell. It's a higher proofed 13-year offering. The 13-year-old bourbon that is released across the pond there, or in the UK, are 86 and 91 proof. So they're very low proof. This is coming at, 114.8? 114.8. This is barrel proof, non-chill filtered. And I think it's probably just a way for Wild Turkey to flex on how well they can make bourbon. Because Wild Turkey, I mean, pound for pound, might be the best distillery out there with everything that they have, everything that they release. People could say Buffalo Trace or Heaven Hill, but they all have bad offerings. Buffalo Trace has Benchmark. Heaven Hill has whatever is bad there. I mean, everybody has bad offerings in whiskey. Wild Turkey 86 isn't phenomenal. But I think pound for pounds, Wild Turkey is. I mean, they're definitely top 5 in the country. I can make an argument for top 3, I think. But if we're gonna get right into the tasting of this, I don't have much in the glass because I do have to leave after this. But let's dive right into it. Why don't we? My nose is a little stuffy, so I hope I can smell. Oh, I can smell. That is so barrel-proof Wild Turkey. It is insane. candy sweetness to start. So I'm sniffing this, and it punches you in the nose a bit. But a nice candy sweetness, and the oak is so deep, is so entwined in all the flavors that I'm smelling. Like it's a candy oak sweetness. It's a butterscotch oak. It's a corn oak. Like there's oak everywhere in here. Wood. Holy shit, this is such a good nose. Holy golly. There's a lot of corn on the nose, but the oak is just there, so heavy. But then it's like a candied fruit that translates into vanilla extract, strong vanilla for a moment. And then there's like a cinnamon spiciness that rounds it all off. It's almost like all these flavors that I'm smelling are all tied up and or they're all mixed together, but they're all perfectly tied up like a bow or a knot, and it just all kind of, floats around together like dust, but in one area. I don't know how to explain it. That's so stupid. This is what a barrel-proof bourbon smells like. I mean, this is how a barrel-proof bourbon smells, right? Wow. The three main things I'm getting are candied fruit, oak, and corn with vanilla extract, a bit of cinnamon and caramel mixed in. I mean, if you were to compare this to Russell's Reserve 10-year, this is light years better. Holy moly. And I've had this in the past, obviously. I had this with a cigar, and I've drank it, but I haven't reviewed it. I haven't sat down and given my thoughts, so. Wow. Great nose. Nose is a 10. Well, nose is one of the best noses I've had on the podcast. Let's dive into the taste, so let's start drinking some whiskey. Cheers, you guys. Another week. Episode 97, Who Gives a Dram? My first episode while I'm 26 years old. Coming up on episode 100, so let's drink some whiskey. My nasal passages were clogged. Now they're not. Okay. So the taste is still there. I mean, the pungentness is the word I'm looking for. The pungentness is still kicking about a minute after I sipped this. 45 seconds. I mean, this is still there. Again, the first thing that I got was a lot of oak on this, but it's not like Jim Beam oak where it's like nuttiness and kind of more like wet wood and earthy notes. This is a sweet oak. It's like oak with like I almost think of like coconut. I don't know if that's weird, and I don't know, I don't taste coconut, but coconut is like a darker, I don't want to say, it's more of a, like if you were going to rate dark sweetness, you have like port and cherry and stuff like that, and then like you have like apple and citrus and that type of sweetness. I feel like coconut is like kind of in the middle, where it's like there's the darker notes to it, but there's also plenty of light notes to it. I might sound like an absolute dumbass right now, but I get coconut on this. Ooh, cherry off the rizzle as well. Coconut, cherry, oak, savory, coats your mouth beautifully. I mean, this is the first drink I've had in like 2 days, like the first serious drink I've had. And I'm not blown away by the proof, but I know it's there. The finish is just hanging out. Like, it's not going away. The finish is like that guy at like when you're hanging out, and then it's like, all right, you kind of want your friend to leave, but they don't want to leave, so they kind of just hang out, and you guys don't say anything for a half hour, and you just want to be like, bro, just leave. That's the finish on this whiskey. It's just hanging. It's just chilling. It's just chilling. The finish on this whiskey is just chilling. Probably eating some hot Cheetos and maybe like surfing through like Reddit. This is just the epitome of a barrel proof, man. Oh, God, that's good. Whew. I'm a big Wild Turkey Rare Breed guy. I'm a big Wild Turkey Russell's Reserve 10-year guy. I love 101. This is probably, outside of maybe the Wild Turkey 1 Master's Keep edition from last year, probably the best Wild Turkey product I've ever tasted. Considering I bought this for $100 and, you know, not really considering the fact that you can't really find this for that much, but just what I paid for it, $100. Oh man, what a value! This is like, if someone said, "Oh, this is a $250 bourbon," I'd be like, I can see it. A dumbass would pay that for this, but I can see it. Yep, and just ends off with a nice, almost like a milkshake, like that sweet and that malted, like you're drinking a malted milkshake, like that thick sweetness at the end. So this is gonna be a high score. This is gonna be a high one. I'm saying, I mean, this is incredible. It's Wild Turkey. It's MSRP'd very appropriately. I think this is a $100 whiskey. It's got such a powerful nose and palate that, although it's powerful, it sticks right there at 114 proof or 115 proof if we're rounding up beautifully. Again, the only problem is the secondary market is people having this on the shelf for $500, $600. You know, people, storefront owners putting this on the shelf for that crazy amount and people being stupid enough to buy it. I don't support storefront owners putting bottles for retail at secondary prices. I think if you're going to put a bottle on the shelf, make it affordable. Don't put Russell's Reserve behind a glass case for $500. If you're gonna put out Russell's Reserve and you want someone to buy it, put it for a reasonable price, or just don't tell anyone you have it and sell it to someone that you know, or sell it to someone, you know, privately. Don't put it out for that. But in my situation, getting a text that says, "Oh, hey, I got a case of Russell's Reserve 13 in. You guys are lucky. It's your guys' lucky day," and coming and paying $100 for it. That is ideal for me. And with that being said, man, this is going to be, let me give it one more sip. I got to know where in the nines I'm putting this. $9.3. This is one of the best bourbons I've had on the show by far. I could drink this every day as an 114 proof. So if you see this, buy it immediately. I would probably pay upwards of $150 for this if I saw it on the shelf. I mean, listen, if you have the money and you want to pay the money, I mean, this is going to be well worth it. If $500 to you is $100 to me, then buy it. But totally worth it, man. Totally worth every single cent of the $100 I spent. And I'm glad I have it, and I'm definitely going to savor this. I'll probably be able to get this next year, but and it's good that my brother also has a bottle of it, but this is going to be, I think I'm going to have another pour of this tonight because this is extremely good. So, Russell's Reserve 13-year, 2022 release, I should say. It doesn't note it on the bottle what release it is, or what year it's released. It just kind of says Russell's Reserve 13, but this is this year's release, 2022. 9.3. And I'm going to hang up on this podcast to drink more. So, thank you for tuning in. Right at 45 minutes. Your boy times it good. I didn't do a movie of the week. I'll do that right now quickly. The movie of the week this week that I watched probably a week ago at this point with my dad and my mom was what's it called? Interview with a Vampire? Is that what it's called? Interview with the Vampire. Interview with the Vampire with right here. Brad Pitt. It wasn't very good, but it has Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and Kirsten Dunst. And it's kind of cool. Antonio Banderas is in it as well. It's kind of cool, but like it just something about it was kind of weird. And like I always like vampire stories, and Brad Pitt, a handsome vampiro, but it was a pretty good movie. I'd give it like it's got a 7.5 on IMDb. It's probably a little bit too high. I'd probably give it 6.5. I'd watch it. I didn't finish it. But I would finish it. And there's a new series coming out of Interview with the Vampire on Amazon. So it's weird seeing Tom Cruise in a movie where he doesn't run a lot or jump off of a skyscraper onto a helicopter. But that's going to do it this week, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for joining the podcast. Make sure you're supporting. Go download the episodes. Go follow me. We'll be back next week with another whiskey review and to talk about Scotland. And then I'll be off across the pond to my home country, the motherland of Scotland. And I'll be coming at you guys with some really cool content, hopefully, over on Bourbon with Friends, and hopefully over here as well. We'll see. So that's going to do it for me, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. Drink good whiskey. Smoke good cigars. Message me on Instagram. Tell me what you're doing this weekend. Tell me what movie you're watching this weekend. Because I don't know what I'm going to watch yet. Give me some ideas. What movie should I watch this weekend? Because I got to watch something. I have a busy weekend. I'm going to my brother from another mother, Nick Bossy's wedding. We went to his bachelor party this past weekend. I'm purposely not talking about it because stuff went down. But I'm going to go see my sister on Friday. I'm driving up to New Hampshire to her college to watch her musical because I'm a good brother, even though she didn't wish me a happy birthday. All good. Kind of mad about it. No, actually, I'm not mad at all about it. I just like to tease her about it. But she's never going to live that one down. But I'm still going to go visit her on Friday with my parents. I'm driving up separately. Get there Friday night, watch the play or the musical. I'm going to sleep over Grace's apartment, and then I'm going to get breakfast in the morning, drive back down here for Nick's wedding on Saturday, which I can't wait. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And then Sunday, I'm driving back up to Massachusetts to watch my cousin Ryan in his powerlifting competition. And who knows? Maybe I'll have Ryan on the podcast next week or something, and we can talk powerlifting and drink whiskey. That might be fun. So until next week, you guys, I will catch up with you. And always remember, whiskey's the water of life. So let's start living.